Hello and welcome to Connect, the weekly podcast for the California MBA, featuring one-on-one interviews with movers and shakers in the mortgage industry. I'm Susan Milazzo, CEO of the California MBA, and very happy that you can join us today. Before we get to today's guests, I'd like to thank our 2023 President's Council sponsors. Now, these are companies that provide a tremendous amount of financial support for the California MBA, in large part to support our advocacy efforts. Remember that advocacy is the cornerstone of what we do at the California MBA. We are known for conferences, webinars, content, podcasts like this, but advocacy is really the main goal and the main activity for the organization, and the financial support that we get from our President's Council sponsors really helps us stay as that strong voice for the real estate finance industry. So I'd like to thank this year's President's Council sponsors, AmeriHome, Arch MI, Consolidated Analytics, Funding Shield, Guild Mortgage, Insellerate, Rocket Mortgage, and Western Alliance Bank. Thank you all so much for your support in 2023. We greatly appreciate it. And speaking of our President's Council sponsors, I'm happy to welcome back to the Connect podcast, Josh Friend from Insellerate. Josh, good morning.
Susan, great. Thanks for having me.
We've been fortunate to have you as a guest. You've been a host of the podcast, so great to have you back. I'm going to tap into a little bit of your background as a mortgage banker. We're about halfway through one of the most challenging years we've had in a while, so I'm going to ask you for kind of halfway through the year, how are you feeling about the market?
I mean, it's obviously still continuing to be a challenging market. I think that, I've been in this industry for 24 years. I think this is times where, quite honestly, great companies get built. We're working with some companies that there's our companies that are growing and are actually making money, right? They're being very diligent and really working on their processes. So I think it's going to be, difficult, or the same second half of the year look like the first half of the year. And obviously that's going to, hopefully 2024 rates will, at some point subside, right? And purchase market's still going to be strong. But I think even with all that being said, Susan, I think before this we were talking slightly about like what do you do if you're in the mortgage industry right now, and how do you keep the motivation up, and what do you say to yourself? And kind of what I've always looked at is, even in a down, what used to be, even in a down market, this was a $1.4 trillion year.
Right.
Industry. I used to say, even in a down market, it's a $1.4 trillion year industry. Well, we're at like a $2 trillion year industry this year, and next year 2.3, and then the following year 2.4 trillion. So we're talking, these are actually really good numbers. It's just a question of who's going to make the money. My philosophy was, I was a loan officer, I remember in 1999, I got on the sales floor, rates went up like 1.5%, and now all of a sudden no one was making money. Right. And there's 100 salespeople on the floor, and we were still getting 40 loans a day. 40 loans a day were still coming in because we were a servicer. And I thought to myself, well, if someone's getting those loans, I'm going to get those loans. If someone's going to make the money, I'm going to make the money. So what do I have to do to go make the money, right? I got better at my job. I perfected my craft, and I just kept doing the job day in, day out, realizing that at some point I would get the business, I would make the money, but I have to put in the work. And so that's just, now's the time for people just really kind of put in the work and understand that it's still going to be, someone's going to make money. There's going to be loan officers and companies making millions of dollars a year this year, right? That's going to happen. So just, go out there and have to figure out how to do it yourself. I
think I've stolen that line from you. I feel like I've repeated that in conversations before. I'm like, it's still a, 2-point-something trillion market, and somebody's got to be making those loans. I mean, I think that's, people need to keep that in perspective, right? I love the post that you have on just kind of keeping people motivated through tough times. I'm sure that comes from, not only being a leader in the industry, but, your times as an originator. It's like you're in sales. It's like you can get bogged down from the, boy, the money's not coming in as easy as it has for the last couple of years. Do you get a lot of good feedback from your posts that really aren't even about Insellerate? It's just like staying focused, staying focused and being positive.
That is, I know that's just what it comes down to is just, it is a mental game. And it's, it's how do you play that, and how do you stay focused and stay positive, and, what do you use to do that? Because it it is one of those things that, again, you have to just realize that there are people making money, and the market will change, and you just have to go out and figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah, yeah. So, so switching gears to Insellerate, it is a challenging year to be sure. A market where loan officers are competing for business, looking for ways to stand out to borrowers. How's Insellerate helping loan officers gain market share?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, we've really, over the last year and a half, have really focused in on what we call the loan officer experience and the retail lending side. So it's, what are the tools? Because, obviously the purchase market side is what's been growing, and it's still going to, have some healthy legs to it, if you will, for the next several years. What are the tools they need? So whether it's open house flyers, co-branded flyers, real estate agents, or property profile landing pages, or integrations to MLS data with pricing options. So tools so they can easily work with the real estate agents, or our new release of our content library, enable them to easily share content, co-brand content, whether it's scheduling social media post, or an open house flyer, or a first-time home buyer flyer, or email campaign. So just giving tools that lets loan officers much more easily connect with their community, whether it's their borrowers or the real estate agents or referral partners.
No, I think that's great. I mean, anything that makes it easy for loan officers, I think, to kind of just grab something, go make, get out there, make a statement, get people interested, I think is really, really helpful.
Real quick, around that, right, the mobile app, to your point, that's actually become a really big hit.
Yeah.
Actually, this year, for having access to your contact database and your referral partners and reports and stuff mobile, and being able to interact and market to them mobile. That's one of the things that we've seen, big pickup over the last year and a half, and just the uses of the mobile application. I think that's something that hasn't been in the industry thus far, and I think those retail loan officers have been really happy with it. So I think that's, to your point, how do you get out there and empower someone easily? And that was one of the things that we released that's been we've been excited about.
That's fantastic. I mean, I think, again, just making it easy. These are people that they're in sales, they're on the road a lot, or they're out of their office trying to, make connections. And so being able to do that from your mobile device, I think is fantastic. I recently saw a post that you had done on GPT. I love, let's add some more acronyms into this industry, right? And I believe that you're hosting a webinar on the subject tomorrow. So can you give our audience a little bit of a preview about what they can, what they'll expect to learn?
Yeah, I mean, really, we have built a couple really powerful editors in our platform. So an HTML editor where people can create HTML content, and then also in the email editing side. And the email editing side, we've taken a industry-leading email editor and being able to build it into our platform. And what that allows people to use now is it's easy to create whatever content they want, and forms and structures. You don't have to be a design expert to create stuff, but we have an integration to a Chat GPT plugin, which now, if you're creating content and you want to create an email for first-time home buyers who purchase VA loans, you can say, write me a 3-paragraph email for VA purchase first-time home buyers. I can go to 100%. Give it some prompts, and it will write it for you. Now, let's say you already have content and you want to make sure the grammar is correct. It can, clean the grammar up. If you want to change the tone, make this friendly, or make this whatever, you can change the tone. If you want to make it shorter, longer, explain it as an expert, you can create all these different, there's all these different buttons, and then AI goes in there and changes your content, fixes grammar, changes the tone, makes it friendlier, makes it shorter, makes it longer, or just creates new content for you, depending on what you're asking it to do. So now, I mean, we launched, Insellerate years ago, but what really took off with the company for us was when we launched our engagement platform. And what that was our software with pre-built content. And, at the time it was, as technology, the content really wasn't technology. But at the end of the day, lenders needed content because, who has time to write all this content? It's a lot of content, right? So this is just, we provide content already, but this is now furthering the ability to you as a lender. So you have a new campaign that's going out, like you can go in there and create something quickly for some new program. You don't have to go to hire marketing department to do this. And I think that's the power of this, which I think is really neat now, is now you as a lender can have world-class marketing without having to pay for world-class marketing.
That is incredible. I mean, and just the ability to, customize it, tailor it. Maybe there's a loan officer that wants to have content on a specific product or area. I think that that's really valuable tool. Now, is this webinar only for Insellerate customers, or can anybody register?
Anyone can register for it. Yeah, I think we'll probably have a link after the show that can go out, but you can go to our website as well, or go to LinkedIn and go to our social media page, and there'll be signups there as well.
Perfect. So great content. If anybody can join that, that is airing tomorrow. So that's another great resource for the industry. So, you know, we chatted a little bit about, you know, you have a very successful tech company. Before that, you were a successful mortgage banker. But before that, you worked in politics. I think that was one of the things you and I initially clicked on because of my background in politics. That, and of course, our love for Star Wars, because, you know, that's also a mutual respect. But, you know, I talked earlier, advocacy is the cornerstone of California MBA. I'm always trying to remind people of that and to get people like you to talk about why that's important. So can you share with our listeners why it's important for everybody to pay attention to what's happening in an advocacy standpoint?
Yeah, at the end of the day, there's regulators, and somebody's telling them what they should be doing. Someone's in their ear. You know, if you're a regulator, you don't know the mortgage industry, or maybe you do, but most don't, or any industry. So you get your information from people who come to you and say, here's the law should be. And you know, if you're not there and we're not represented, meaning people who are actually in the industry, we understand what these changes mean. If we're not there advocating for our behalf, somebody else is. Someone else is there advocating on the behalf of some other trade group, or quite honestly is ignorant to what actually is taking place, which happens far too often. Right. So, you know, they mean well. Regulators mean well. They think they're doing a good thing. They think this is going to solve the problem, but they don't really actually understand the implications of what's going to take place. So having advocacy is what helps us with that. So that's why it's important for us to get out there and support the CMBA and actually get involved. So, you know, we have a voice when it comes to what gets regulated. And obviously we're in a huge, massive regulated industry, right? This is about as regulated as an industry as you can be in. So it really does matter.
Well, thank you. And for those of you that are not already members, join Mortgage Action Alliance. That's a great way that anybody can become engaged, both at the federal level and state. So that's powered by the National MBA, but it allows you to receive messages when there's a call to action. Again, either legislation at the federal level. We've used it in California when there's very critical legislation that's gone to the floor that we need to take action on. It's very easy way for people to get active from an advocacy standpoint. And thank you, Josh, for reminding everybody of that. And you know, thank you to Insellerate for being, again, and one of our President's Council sponsors. We really appreciate your support, and thank you for all you do to help our association be successful.
Thanks, Susan, for having me, and all that you guys do as well.
Thank you to everybody for joining us on today's episode of Connect. To access any of our past episodes, you can follow us on our YouTube channel. We're also available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. That's it for this week, and we'll see you next time on Connect.